Okay, what's up everybody? This is Ryan here, and you're watching episode 9, I believe, of my live coding. Ugh, sorry, got a hair in my mouth. Yeah, let's get started. So basically, what's going to go on today is I'm going to be doing some more work on pretty much test-driven development in action. And so what I'll be doing is just continuing to work on unit tests and trying to get that sorted out. Now there's a couple caveats about today's episode, and these are pretty much the same caveats that apply to all of the live coding episodes, but basically there's certain things in here which I'm trying to figure out myself. In particular, I kind of spent the morning messing around with this result wrapper that I've been trying to implement, and I gotta be honest, it's been kind of pissing me off, so I'm very happy to hear feedback on it. And one of the first things I'm gonna try and do is just refactor it and get it working, because I don't know what it is, but I just can't get the damn thing to just be configured the way I want it. And one of the things that I'm kind of realizing is I'm trying to do it in a very specific way. But it might be more prudent for me to just try and build it my own way, and because there's one particular part of Kotlin which I really haven't deep dived into yet, which is like the underlying sort of generated code when it comes to lambdas. So that's something I just have not had time to study a lot. And they basically, in this particular class that I'll be showing, it's been giving me a lot of problems. I just can't seem to get it configured exactly how I want. Anyways, worst case scenario, I'm only going to spend about maybe 10 or 15 minutes on that. If I have to, I will actually slightly refactor the code so that we can still write tests and basically just leave the result wrapper off to the side until I can get it working properly. But the main thing is I just don't want to waste the entire episode just trying to sort out this stupid result wrapper when I'm a lot more interested in demonstrating the test-driven development aspect of what I'm doing here, because this is how I actually go about building larger scale applications, especially the back end of the applications. So I'm really a lot more interested in demonstrating that part. Anyways, before we get to that, I got to give you the usual spiel. Just let me pull up my thingy here. Where the hell is it? There we go. So, first and foremost, oh, sorry, just give me a moment. Oh my god. As usual, I've forgotten to open several tabs. How's everyone doing today, though? I see Victor has jumped in. Good to see you again. Cześć, jak się masz? I forgot what I was doing. Here we go. Full disclosure, the past 8 days have been really insane, like mostly 10 to 12-hour days for me, so my brain might be a little bit fried at this point. It's just been such a push to get all my work done, but things are getting more manageable. I had a conversation with my book editor, and we're kind of adjusting the schedule a little bit, because I really can't go into much details here, but suffice it to say I ended up having to write like 10,000 words in like the past 2 weeks, alongside a lot of coding and a lot of video making. And as you can see, it's starting to take a toll on my face. That's kind of my favorite saying, work until your face starts to fall off. But don't actually do that. But sometimes you need to, but it's not healthy to do that. But it's a useful skill to have. Okay, so if you appreciate what I do here and would like to see me do it better, then please do consider supporting the show on Google+, Facebook, Twitter. I know everyone has a Google+ account, so let's all jump on that, please. And we also have a Slack channel. If you're almost definitely watching this on YouTube, so if you do learn something today, please do me a favor and hit the like button below, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I would just like to thank the following people for supporting me directly on Patreon. So we've got Anch, A, Cameron, Graham, Hank, Pjack, Shoku, Sushil, and Trevor. So to all of those people, I say thank you very kindly. If you would like to support me a little bit more directly for whatever reason, then you can do so with our Patreon page, and then there is also a PayPal account if you're not really into the recurring payments type thing. And if you can't afford to throw me any money and you feel a bit bad about that, don't, because I do this stuff for free for people like you. So, anyways, that's my commercial for today. Just gonna jump in the chat for a bit. So, Chris, we got Victor, Elaine, Suleiman, Iman, Linksy. By the way, Linksy, you're a rock star. I really appreciate what you are doing by commenting on all my videos. I really do appreciate that, and I'm going to try and get you back soon for that in a good way. Anyways, much appreciated. Yeah, who else we got? Robert again, and Ivan. Hey, thank you, Ivan. Ivan can't watch the show live, but just wanted to stop by and I'll just read what Ivan said. I can't follow this live, but I just wanted to check in and give you a wave and a thumbs up. Continue the good work. Thank you very kindly, Ivan. I appreciate you taking the time to say that. Much appreciated. Okay, so let's get into it. Hit the ground running. Okay, so before I get to the code, let me just kind of recap what I've been working on, what we've kind of been working on collectively here. So, by the way, I hope somebody understood the pun that I made in the social media announcements. I said that I made a, oh God, okay, I gotta share this because I know I'm probably literally the only person who's going to be amused by this terrible pun, but I just, okay. So when I was announcing this particular episode, I said, I'll be doing some live coding in about 90 minutes. It will be a continuation. Because continuations are part of coroutines. Okay, I know it's not that funny. I just, you know. Anyways. Hopefully by pointing out how unfunny that actually... So the point I'm making here, I was just making a little joke, which is that a continuation is actually one of the ways that coroutine works, and it's a fancy word for like a... crap, it's a continuation. I don't even know what else to call it, but just kind of a funny little tidbit there. Anyways, I'll stop boring you with my inane, highly technical jokes, and we'll just get into the recap. So, my general goal over the past 3 or 4 episodes has been to set up my testing environment. Now, I'm not even gonna like make this excuse anymore. I just haven't really had time to work a lot on Catalyst, so progress has been slow, but at the end of the day, I think we're still learning from this process, so hopefully it's still entertaining to you. I do realize some of these episodes are probably kind of boring because we're kind of just learning how to set up unit tests, but to be perfectly honest, that is like the most difficult part of unit testing in my opinion. It's not really figuring out what to test. You can figure out what to test pretty easily if someone explains it to you in a way which doesn't use an insane number of, oh, you can do this kind of instrument to test, and just too much jargon. However, setting up your testing environment, especially if you're migrating to something new, so I'm now migrating to Kotlin and coroutines with my tests and a result wrapper, which just adds a couple extra layers of complexity into configuring the tests. So that's kind of the hardest part about testing, honestly, is just getting your tests to friggin' run the way you want them. So in order to, so far what we've done to get the test running is I created this test data class. Where am I? which sits in the test directory. I will eventually post this stuff to the GitHub. I just don't want to do it until I've got a couple things running, because I'm still kind of fiddling around with this code. Anyways, so I created this class called domain test objects. So basically what that class is I use it to create canned data, I call it, or pre-made data. So what happens is that so in the test class itself, or the test function, you could say test class, whenever I want to return yeah, that's actually accurate to say, whenever I want to return some kind of data in my test in order to like test against the fake data, which is the fundamental, you're either testing data or you're testing behavior with your tests. That's basically the whole point. It just makes it super easy for me to do that. I literally just call test.whatever the hell I need from this test class. And then I've got this big old list of stuff that I can use for my tests. So that took a whole friggin' episode to make, but yeah. So I did that. The next thing I did is, in order to test functions with coroutines, I added a coroutine context provider to my interactors. So let's review that in English. So I have all of these interactor objects, and their job is to ask the repository, which will actually, the implementation of these repository objects will be in the back end, and those are databases and remote network databases. That's basically what that is, if you're curious. The interactor provides like a layer of abstraction from my domain and my data implementation. I know that's a lot of jargon. I can't really explain it simply, but that's what it does. And I'm writing tests to test this particular class. What I did is I added in a coroutine context provider. And the reason I did that is, if you want to run tests with coroutines, you need to make sure that they run on the unconfined coroutine context. So if you're not familiar with coroutines, you're probably wondering, what is a coroutine context? It's actually, I'm going to be honest here, when you really dive deeply into what coroutine context is, it's kind of mind-blowing, because it's essentially a map, like the programming construct, a map, but it's capable of nesting other coroutine contexts as elements of the map, and a whole bunch of other things, configurations. It's really one of the most ingenious code constructs I've ever learned about. It's absolutely incredible. Anyways, for the purposes of what we're doing here, I want you to think of coroutine context as basically similar to a scheduler in RxJava, if you've worked on that, or like a thread provider. The gist of it is, this unconfined coroutine context should allow us to run our tests on the JVM, and that's very normal to have to change your threading kind of setup in order to run tests. Now what I did is I created a, this is actually, where is it? Derp, derp, derp. This is an interface, and then that's going to allow me to just really easily pass in a fake version when I create the workout interactor. And the way that I do that is I just mock it up here, and then what we'll be doing is I'll be mocking the responses. So that's that part. I already explained. So I created a mock. We're creating a mock version of the workout repository. And then we're creating that mock, I just explained that, but yeah, that's the mock coroutine context provider. And so to just kind of summarize in general, what we're doing here is, because I've taken the time to lay out my whole architecture, and most of the architecture talks to, so we've got layer here, layer here, layer here. The different layers talk to each other through interfaces generally, And so that allows me to basically build and test each layer of the application independently. So when I want to test the middle layer, which is say an interactor, I just have a fake version of the data layer. And I return what the data layer would respond with, even though there's nothing there except a mock. So if I accurately represent what my data layer returns, and my tests are well formed and passing, then I can move on. There's nothing left to do with the interactors. So that's what we'll be working on today, but before I get to that, we got to fiddle around with this stupid result wrapper, and we'll see how that goes. Anyways, sorry that was a very long-winded intro. Also, Victor, I will get to your question shortly. I didn't look at it, but I see you had one. Okay. Yeah, sorry, there's probably a lot of jargon I just went over, but you know, maybe if you watch. Oh, thank you. Linksy says that he loves it when I talk about software architecture. To be honest, that's kind of the one thing that I will actually claim to be pretty good at, apparently. And I'm really sure that's because I'm a 3D. I have a graphics card in my head, and I think that's why it's easy for me to think about it and explain it. I basically just explain the pictures in my head. But thank you. Okay, here's what we're dealing with. So, what I did is I went through my different interactors and I said return to do. So why did I do that? Oh, am I in the right? Yeah, I'm in code mode. So the thing that I did here is in order to stub these functions out, sorry, what I would suggest is it says that they're supposed to return a result, and if you leave nothing here, it will cause an error. It won't compile. Instead, what I've done is I've said return to do, and to do is neat because if I call this actual method, then it'll throw an error basically. It'll give me a not implemented error, and it also should allow me to compile and then execute the tests. So to do returns nothing, which is like a special Kotlin type. It's kind of, it's not exactly like void. I think unit is technically a little closer to void, and it's not actually a real type. It's like a hypothetical type, kind of. But anyways, suffice it to say this should allow me to compile things, and that's why I added that in. I'm trying to really give everybody the details here because it's kind of tricky to configure this. Okay, so this is a problem I was dealing with. I've been fiddling around with this result wrapper thing here. And I just want to build a result that contains whatever class I want to return. And the thing I keep running into is that it's just not really working for me. So this is one of the things I'm going to try and figure out for a couple of minutes. And what I was thinking is I think I'm actually just going to approach this a totally different way. Yeah. All right, Ryan's going to put his thinking cap on for a minute, so just give me a moment to think about what I'm doing. This is live coding. The thing that keeps screwing me up is this part right here. So I understand the logic of this kind of, this is basically an either monad, this thing. I call it a result wrapper, but it's technically an either monad, which is a functional construct. Oh wow, I'm having a lot of trouble spelling that word. Construct, holy crap. There we go. So the thing about this is the way it's supposed to work is that I basically am supposed to have a method through a companion object. I'm supposed to be able to basically call this method with some function that returns a value of the input type here, a value v. So as far as I'm aware, so that's how that's supposed to work. And so the way that this actually should kind of work is I should be able to basically pass in a function which can either, again, either monad, give me a value or give me an error. Now, you know, I understand the principle of what's going on here, but the thing I'm really trying not to swear, the thing I keep running into is that in certain instances, I just really can't configure this stupid method to just give me the friggin' result value that I want. So if you're watching this and you are, you know, aware of why it, so let me just highlight. So what it's saying here is it's saying required workout Kotlin exception. Okay, cool. So the thing, what if I returned, just trying to think, what if I returned a result from the test data? The thing I don't understand exactly what's going on here is why is it saying nothing and workout in this particular case? There's conflicts with the types going on here essentially, and I'll be honest, I don't understand exactly why. This is the method I'm trying to mock. So it returns a workout object or an exception, and that's, as far as I'm aware, that's how that's supposed to look. Let me just double check in my other project. We'll go to calculator. Let's do calculator. Actually, no, let's say calculator. So this is basically the same idea here. And the way that I solved this problem in this application is I ended up having to just strip out exceptions because they kept screwing with me just like they're screwing with me here. Now that didn't so I got this thing to work exactly how I wanted, but then I kind of lost the ability to accurately to do what apparently this result wrapper is supposed to do, suffice it to say. So I'm just going to spend a moment in the chat to see if there's any comments on that before we proceed. And then I'm probably going to, I don't think I'm going to delete this class. I think I'm going to momentarily create just a different result wrapper that, you know, doesn't have this issue going on. Because like I say, I don't understand what the fucking problem is. Pardon my language. This is live coding, so if you're offended by swearing, then you probably don't want to watch my channel at all. Okay. So, just on particular topic. Sorry, just reading a comment here. So Sunan Sukana asks, why do I have two returns in my code? I believe you're talking about this portion. Oh, yeah, that shouldn't be there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's the return try. So good eye there. Now it's telling me that this is unreachable code. And I think what's going on here is obviously I need to pass in a function here which is capable of either throwing an exception or being rendered into a value. Now I think the problem is that the method I'm calling here, test.workout, do I need to say try? Yeah, like I say, I'm trying to work this out. So I do have a comment here. I think you should change return value, build value to function. Build value. I don't really, I'm not necessarily in agreement with that. Maybe that's true. Huh. Because the thing... return value to build value function. So I think what you're saying is... I'm not sure if I can do that exactly how I have it configured here. So build value. Wow, this is really a function.invoke. Yeah, I'm not entirely following that. And now you might not be wrong, I might just be misunderstanding what you're saying, but I don't really understand that. Okay, so for starters, let's get rid of that. See, that's the problem is how this thing is supposed to work if I have it created correctly is that if I pass in, I can either pass in an exception, or I can pass in a value, or I can pass in a function which produces either a value or an error, but what's happening is I'm calling this function. Wait a minute, is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. God, that's just blowing my mind here. Especially this part here, it's telling me that this is unreachable code. So I think what it's telling me is that it's pissed off because this thing is never capable of representing an error. Maybe that ought to be exception? Did that do it? Nope. I don't know, I'm not going to spend forever pissing around with this. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and refactor this really quickly. And God, that's obnoxious. Is it? Oh, why are you doing this to me? I'm really just messing around at this point. You want a lambda, you'll get a lambda. Try... where's try catch specifically? Oops. Okay, what the hell does try catch look like? Oh, this is going to be an exciting episode. Sorry, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, so that's curly brackets. That gets deleted. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work, but you know, it was just worth a try. God, that's so bizarre. See, this is exactly like the whole, this is the funny thing, like the whole idea with this result monad is that it's supposed to just really simplify creating objects that can be in different potential states. The one object, which ultimately is the result itself, the superclass, which can represent a value or loading or an error, and it's supposed to make that really easy, and instead I'm sitting here pissing around with it all the time. So I'm going to basically give this one last chance here, and then I'm just going to rebuild it the way in a more imperative style, because you know, this is just silliness. Build value, come on brain, test workout, and then it complains. It says it needs a nothing and a workout, which is what it's getting. Or no, it says it needs a workout and an exception. This is the part I'm almost going full autism here, but this is the part that just pisses me off right now. So it's telling me I need to supply a workout and a Kotlin exception. But when I look at this method here, result.build value, what does it tell me? Shouldn't this return a value? That can't be right. Is that it? I really don't think that... Well, then it's not capable of returning an error. You know what, as long as I can just get it to... you know what, at this point I don't really give a shit. Does this work? So we'll say result dot, that's value, is it? Passes in a function. I think the problem is that it's yeah, it has to do with, okay, here's what I think's going on here. So the problem is, I'll admit, I am a little bit new to functional programming. I've been learning it for about a year, but I was brought up in a Java imperative world, so I'm always thinking imperatively, and I think what's going on here is there's a difference between returning a value and a function. What I feel like should be the case is that I think what's happening is test.testWorkout is not being considered a function or some shit. Anyways, I don't know. Result.build value test.testWorkout. And it doesn't want that. And just let me look at this one more time before I give up here. It doesn't want that. Why? I doubt that's it. Tricky problem today. Tricky problem, folks. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do, I'll check the chat one last time here. Oh yeah, let me just, I'm gonna break for a minute, just to chat for a sec. So Victor says, I thought I have difficulty with this shit programming. Good to see that it's not easy for everyone. I wish it gets better, Victor, but the honest truth is that even if you know what you want to do, like, I know what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to create a result wrapper that can represent 3 states. most of the difficulty I find with programming is actually just learning how to build the thing. And that's one of the biggest issues I have, is that I feel like developer teachers spend so much time teaching people the theory. But at the end of the day, that means very little if you can't get it to work. And my experience has been that's generally speaking the most difficult part of programming, is actually getting your program to work, not understanding it theoretically. Anyways, I'm going to spend 5 minutes just refactoring this thing because I'm tired of pissing around with this, to be honest. And then after that, we'll take some drastic measures so that we can start writing some unit tests. But yeah. Anyways, hopefully it's been somewhat enjoyable. I'm terrified that I'm boring everyone by taking them along for this, but hopefully this is useful experience in at least demonstrating how annoying this shit can be. Okay. So, I think I still want to keep these things. I don't want to mess around with passing a function in and then having it return a value. I think that's the major issue here, is that I need to pass in a lambda. I believe that's technically how I say that. Again, my understanding of lambda expressions is slightly off, probably. It needs a function which returns a workout. My thinking is that test.workout is a function that returns a workout. But I think maybe because it's a property, that's why it's complaining. But I don't know exactly. There's just something under the hood here that I'm not piecing together. So that's okay. Let's so here's a lesson for everybody. This is a lesson I learned a long time ago. My habit, my default attitude when I get stuck is to keep hitting my head against the wall to try and break through the wall. Sometimes you need to pick a different part of the wall to beat your head against, okay? Because if you're hitting one part of the wall and there's like a board in it, then you're not going to break through. So you go to the other side of the wall and it might just be like drywall. So anyways, that's where we're at today. Beating my head against the wall. Okay, let's go here. I'm gonna drop this shit for now. That's just gone. Actually, let's comment it out. That's a better way to do it. And then we're gonna work with this. So, this thing needs to be let's try it as a value. I don't actually... Okay, it's still complaining. What do you mean you're asking for a function? Why are you still asking for a function, you stupid thing? Again, like what the hell? I'm gonna clean the project and then we'll be back in a moment. But if you've enjoyed the show so far, please do me a favor and hit the like button down below. And my stream will lag when I clean the project, so you'll just have to bear with me there. Okay. I totally forgot to run a commercial break. My bad, 1 sec. Wait a minute. It's expecting... Okay, maybe part of the issue here... I'm not sure if I can even articulate what I'm thinking about right now, unfortunately. So bloody tired, but... So it's telling me this is... So result.build value creates a result with a function that returns a workout. Again, here we have... Wait a minute, hold on. Really? Same thing, okay. Same thing. Build value. No, it doesn't like that. I think that's where that would go. Yeah. Fun episode, people. Fun episode. No, you don't like that either. Yeah, it really doesn't... It's a problem with types. It's a type issue. Build loading. Okay, you know what? Let's try this. Let me just... Okay, here's one thing we can maybe do. Let's try and write the other two unit tests so that I do some unit testing today, because evidently this is going to require more fiddling. But what I can hopefully do is maybe get the other ones working. If the other ones don't work at all, then kurwa mać. I won't translate, but is Polish expression. Okay, so what are we actually testing here? So this test is supposed to figure out what happens when we want to successfully retrieve a workup by ID. This one's going to be get workup by ID failure. So please, please, please let me just build a stupid error class. Can we please do that? Throw exception. Or is it still going to give me shit? Wow. Okay, what do you expect? An error. God, that's so bizarre. Like, are you freaking kidding me? It asks for an exception. When I give it an exception, it's not valid. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. I think I'm looking at this the wrong way. I think the problem isn't with the result wrapper. I think the problem is with the expected return. Okay, okay. So one of the ways when you're solving problems which have like nested code, one of the important things to do, and this is something I momentarily forgot about, is to pull pull parts of it out and make sure it works in isolation. Does this work here? Yes. Does this work up here? I think, okay, I might have solved the problem here. Yes, okay. The problem isn't with my result wrapper, it's just with this block here. This thing is expecting a specific return type, and that's not what it's getting. So can I cast it? Can I say result.build value as, do I want to do that? Too is a question, as, and what do you expect? You're expecting a result with workout and exception. I'm not sure if I can do that. Let's, okay. Wow, did I actually just solve the problem here? Okay, let's try this one again then, because maybe it wasn't the fucking monad that was the issue to begin with. So what if I pass in a lambda now? It's fine. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm glad I captured that moment. Let me tell you, I am very happy. Holy crap. Okay. Damn. Let's carry on. Kurwa. Okay, that's basically the issue here, I think. So let me see. That amuses me very greatly. Okay, let's then try and run this test. Holy shit. Okay, so I'm going to try and run this test. Sometimes my computer lags a little. We'll just see. Oh, is it? What's the issue here? Expecting an element. I haven't. So yeah, So this is okay. Let's move back to TDD. Let's talk some TDD. Okay, so when you're doing the tests, when you're following test-driven development, you'll follow a process. So you write your test, and your first goal is to get the test passing. But you're not actually concerned about whether the test is perfect. You just want it to compile. So I just ran the test for the first time, and it just gave me input saying, hey, your test is not well formed. That's the first thing I'm going to go and fix. So I'm going to fix this obvious issue that I left here. I'm just going to comment out that whole method, so we're not worrying about that. And then we're going to say repo.getWorkoutById, and then verify. Okay, it's asking me for a parameter. So again, I'm going to use my test data. I'm still like just fuming inside that I made such a stupid error. Oh, that was so dumb. Okay, TD, get workout by test ID. I need a test ID. Okay. And then of course we want to know, so what I'm actually how do I use, I forgot how to mock a toad. Give me a moment here. Give me a test class. Let's see. How do I mock a toad? Verify, and then the method that I want to verify is how that works. So I don't do that. I say repo.getWorkoutById. Okay, so this is how Mockito kind of works in brief. What Mockito does is you say verify that this object had this method called with this value. So in a sense, we're testing everything. We're testing behavior and state in this particular case. Okay, I'm going to try and run that method again. Test failed. Okay, what happened? Get workouts. Okay, so it's giving me a little error. So it's saying get workouts by ID should be void. That's a pretty weird error. So get workouts. So it's telling me that this test class should have the return type void. That doesn't really make any sense to me. Is that really... Because the thing is, Kotlin should automatically return unit, which would get mapped to void. So let me just double check that I'm not doing anything wrong here. That's a little odd. Well, hold on. Let me think about this. Is this an issue with is this a malformed test issue, or is this just an issue because I haven't implemented it? It's telling me it's an issue with... Why would it be complaining about that? That's really weird. What it's telling me here is this should return void. You know what, folks? I'm going to do... Let me... we already learned one major secret about programming, which is that no matter how much you learn, if you're always learning and always building new things, you're always going to run into situations like this. That's one of the things I think I demonstrated very well today. One of the other things I'm about to demonstrate is that when I run into an error, which is in a very specific spot, and I don't know what the hell it's talking about, the first thing I do is I Google it. So I'm going to do that now. I call it consulting the Oracle, which is ironic because Google is not a part of Oracle, but we are doing Java programming. Okay, so it's, so what am I going to do? I'm going to say Kotlin unit test method should be void. Should return void, should be void. Oh, hey, here's a cooler way of possibly solving this problem. I don't know if this will work, but this could be really cool. So for everyone watching, let me show you a really neat way to learn Kotlin. So if you're working with something in Kotlin and you're really confused about it and you're a Java developer, one of the best things you can do is you can decompile the Kotlin bytecode into Java. What that will do is it'll basically give you, it'll kind of tell you what's going on as far as the JVM is concerned. That's really important because it's kind of closer to what's happening in the compilation itself. One of the things about Kotlin is that it hides a lot of stuff for you so that you don't have to do it, but when it hides things, that does have complications. I'm going to actually go to Tools, Kotlin, show Kotlin bytecode. That'll show me the bytecode for this whole test class, and then I'm going to decompile, and that's going to show me the Java code. Down here, if you'll notice, it's complaining because it's telling me get workout by ID successful should be void. So I'm going to look at what this method is returning and try to figure out, is it not void? Normally, Kotlin functions by default return a unit type, which should get mapped to void. So I think we're going to look at the code and see if it's not doing that. This is a really fun thing, though, if you're learning Kotlin. This is one of my favorite tips. It's loading. I don't know what's going on. So I don't even know if you guys can hear me right now, but I think Android Studio just had a memory leak because I literally can't click on anything in Android Studio. Benjamin asks, hopefully you guys, can someone confirm if you can hear me right now? Because I don't actually know. Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, good. All right, so Benjamin asks, while my computer is still loading, you can, I think you can hear the CPU. My CPU is getting a workout. Okay, yeah, this is a memory leak, so I'm gonna have to close down Android Studio here. Yeah. We are experiencing technical difficulties. We'll be right back. Benjamin asks, do I have a solid state drive? I have an SSD and a 1 terabyte 7200 RPM hard drive, non-solid state. But I am running this stuff on the solid state. Oh wow, this thing is really shit itself. That's so seeing as many of the people watching this are ESL, I'm going to give you an expression. Oh wow, it's really, holy crap. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, I've got a major memory leak going on. So we'll see. Well, it's about an hour into the stream, so I think I'm gonna have to call it a day, because here's the thing. I definitely have a memory leak right now. Check this out. Look at this. See? Where is all of that? Oh, okay, it's going down. It's going down. Okay, it's evening out. My GPU's going crazy as well. Okay, well, it should be okay now, but for the rest of the episode, we're an hour in, so I usually cut it off around here, but I'm going to stick around for 5 or 10 minutes to answer questions, and after that I'll call it a day. But I think, Victor, you had a question at the start, which I forgot to address. Yeah, I know the fan is loud. That's because I have a memory leak and a loud fan. Okay. So, anyways, hopefully, I didn't enjoy parts of that, but at least I got to kind of demonstrate, as Victor mentioned, that, listen, this stuff isn't easy. This is why we get paid the big dollars, is because it's actually pretty tough to constantly learn new technologies and then get them working. It's one thing to learn something, it's another to actually build it. That's what I always focused on, is building things. Okay, so Victor asks, can I ask you about code review like I did for Omar the other day? Of course not now. Yeah, absolutely, Victor. So I actually quite like doing those things, because it's a very kind of organic a fun thing for me to do. The problem with it is, as you probably noticed with Omar, one of the issues with programming is it can be hard to tell immediately whether someone is doing something wrong or doing it differently. So the whole time I was looking at Omar's code, my alarm bells were going off. I'm thinking like, this really doesn't look like the way you should do dependency injection. But at the same time, it's possible that he's managed to get it working. So I didn't want to be all, you need to change this. But in any case, hopefully it's still a fun thing for the viewers, and I kind of enjoy doing it. So anytime you want me to check out some sample code, there is one thing I ask you do, and I just realized I totally forgot to ask Omar. But please do me a favor, try to put an open source license on it. And the reason why is just for safety's sake. If I'm like showing your, I know I don't think you would sue me, but it's just a good practice if you're sharing code is to put the open source license on it. But anyways, that's what I do with all my stuff. I'm not just telling people to do that. What else have we got? Yeah, Victor jokes that the memory leak was probably caused by an asyntax. My computer still has a memory leak. I think it might be OBS Studio though. Oh, awesome, Victor's using the MIT license. Thanks, man. Okay, all right, thank you for watching, everyone. No questions, so I will call it a day there. But yeah, that was interesting. I started out really, for the first 40 minutes of the live stream. What's with the voice cracking? Jesus Christ, that's annoying. For the first 40 minutes of the live stream, I was thinking, oh my God, this live stream sucks. But the thing about it is, I actually really like being wrong when I figure out when I'm wrong. Because what I did there is I was approaching that problem from the wrong perspective. Instead of looking at the result wrapper code in isolation and testing it in isolation to make sure it works there, I was looking at this block with some Mockito crap, and I was approaching it basically, I was misinterpreting the error that I was being given. So that's totally my fault, but you know, I think there's a really great learning lesson in there. Part of the lesson is that everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, even the smartest, best programmers, they all make mistakes. There's not a single human being who has ever lived who doesn't make mistakes unless they don't do anything. But one of the ways you can solve those sorts of problems is to just try and think about it a different way, to ask yourself, am I beating my head against the correct section of the wall? So thank you so much for watching, and peace out, everybody.